All right, today we are going to divide terms with exponents. So let's say we have this one. X to the power of 5 means x times itself 5 times. On the bottom, we have x squared, which is x times itself 2 times. Any number divided by itself is 1, so I'm going to get rid of an x on top and an x on the bottom because together that is 1. X divided by x here is also 1. So on the top, I have 1 times 1 times x times x times x, which is really just x to the power of 3. And in the bottom, I have 1 times 1, which is 1. But anything divided by 1 is itself, so really it's just x to the power of 3. All right, for this one, I have x squared on top, which is x times itself 2 times. And in the bottom, I have x to the power of 4, which is x times itself 4 times. So x divided by x is 1. We have another 1 here. So on the top, we have 1 times 1, which is 1. And on the bottom, we have 1 times 1 times x times x. So it's 1x squared, or just x squared. And that one we cannot simplify any further. Let's say we have something like this. Now the negative is not in parentheses. So if we had something like this, that would mean negative x times negative x times negative x. But this negative is out to the side, so that means we're finding the opposite of all of this. So it's going to be a negative in front, but then it's positive x times positive x times positive x. And on the bottom, we have 1x. So x divided by x is 1. So on the top, we have negative 1 x to the power of 2. Let me quickly get rid of that a second. So we have negative x to the power of 2 on top. And on the bottom, we have 1, and anything divided by 1 is itself. So this would be that final answer. Ooh, let's try this fun-looking one. All right, so let's just start with inside the parentheses. Inside the parentheses, we have x times itself 4 times. On the bottom, we have x times itself 2 times. And we're going to have this whole entire thing 3 times. I'm not going to write out everything. All right, so x divided by x is 1. So we have another 1 here. So we're left with x squared. So we'd be left with 2x's here and 2x's here. So all together, I would have x to the power of 6. Here's a shortcut. You can, actually let me rewrite this a moment. You could distribute this 3 to both of those. So we would have x to the power of 12 up on top and x to the power of 6 on the bottom. And then you can actually subtract those exponents. 12 minus 6 is 6. Now let's add in some coefficients. All right, 2x to the 4th means 2 times x times x times x times x. All right, so this time I didn't use the dots, but if the variables are touching each other, I say that they're kissing, and then they're multiplying all of the germs. And then on the bottom, we have 3, x, x, x. And we have this whole entire thing 2 times. All right, we could get rid of 1, 2, 3 x's. That's all worth 1. So we really have 2x on top and 3 on the bottom. All right, so if we multiply both of those two groups together, we would have on the top 4x squared. And then on the bottom, 3 times 3 would be 9. And that would be the final answer. And now let's try this one with multiple variables. All right, so on the top, we have 9 times x times x times x times y times y times z. On the bottom, we have 12x, y, y, z, z, z. I just added that gap there so I could line up the letters, but I could have written them all together as well. All right, let's start by simplifying. All right, 9/12. We can divide both of those by 3. So we would get 3/4. All right, x divided by x is 1. That leaves us with 2 x's on the top. So x squared is on the top. Y's, that just simplifies to 1, and anything times 1 is itself, so we don't have to worry about those. And then we can get rid of 1 pair of z's, so we're left with 2 z's on the bottom. So this would be the final answer. All right, and additionally, another way to solve this is we could still just simplify this part. This exponent down here is 1, so we could do 3 minus 1, which gives us that 2 for the x's. If we look at the y exponents, 2 minus 2 is 0, which means there's no y's. And then for the z's, we have 1 here minus 3. That's like a negative 2. So we actually could have a z to the power of negative 2 on the top. We'll get to that later. Or you could go in reverse and do 3 minus 1, which gives you that 2 on the bottom.